In the autumn winds of Massillon, Ohio, a legend began to take form. Charles Christopher Spielman, his journey in this world on October 11, 1965, destined to rewrite the meaning of dedication, both on and off the gridiron. The son of a passionate football family, young Chris grew up in the shadow of Paul Brown Tiger Stadium, where Friday night lights weren't just entertainment, but a cultural institution. Before he would rack up 1,363 tackles over his professional career, young Chris was already carving his name into the annals of football history at Washington High School, becoming the first high school athlete to grace a Wheaties box, America's breakfast of champions. His dominance wasn't just physical, it was intellectual and emotional. By his graduation in 1984, he had already established himself as more than just a football player, earning the prestigious Dial Award as the National High School Scholar Athlete of the Year. Based on his high school statistics, he likely averaged over 15 tackles per game, a harbinger of the defensive terror he would become. Teammates recall a young man who studied game film with the intensity of a seasoned professional, often staying hours after practice to perfect his technique. The journey to collegiate stardom nearly took an unthinkable turn. "Dad, I want to go to Michigan," Spielman once confessed to his father, a die-hard Ohio State Buckeye fan who had raised his sons on scarlet and gray traditions. His father's response was swift and unequivocal. "You traitor, I'll tell you where you're going. You're going right down 71 South and you're going to play for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Better not go there, Michigan. Don't ever come home if you do." This father-son ultimatum would shape not just Spielman's career, but the entire landscape of Big Ten football for years to come. The Michigan-Ohio State rivalry, already one of college football's most storied, would have looked dramatically different had Spielman donned the maize and blue. During the mid-1980s, when Ohio State's defense allowed approximately 18 points per game, Spielman's addition would transform the unit into one of college football's elite. The decision likely altered the outcome of at least 3 to 4 rivalry games over his collegiate career, games that often decided conference championships and bowl destinations. At Ohio State, the linebacker blossomed into one of the most formidable defensive players in college football history. Standing 6 feet even and weighing 234 pounds, he wasn't the largest linebacker by physical standards, but what he lacked in size he compensated for with heart, intelligence, and preternatural instinct. His pre-draft measurables tell only part of the story: a 4.90-second 40-yard dash and a 32.5-inch vertical jump. But statistics fail to capture the essence of Spielman's dominance. Over his Buckeye career, he intercepted 11 passes, an extraordinary number for a linebacker, and became a 3-time All-American. The Lombardi Award, given to the nation's best lineman or linebacker, found its home with Spielman in 1987. Across his 4 seasons, he likely amassed over 400 total tackles, averaging roughly 100 tackles per season, a remarkable consistency that would become his hallmark. His teammates often joked that the team's statistician could pre-record "tackle by Spielman" and simply play it on repeat throughout games. In the 9 Ohio State-Michigan contest between 1979 and 1987, the Buckeyes went 3-6, but 2 of those 3 victories came during Spielman's tenure, when he averaged approximately 12 tackles per game against the Wolverines. The 1988 NFL Draft saw Spielman selected in the 2nd round, 29th overall, by the Detroit Lions, a franchise that had struggled defensively, ranking in the bottom third of the league in most defensive categories through the mid-1980s. What followed was nothing short of extraordinary. Over 8 seasons in Detroit, from 1988 to 1995, he recorded an astonishing 1,138 tackles, still the franchise's all-time leader since the team began recording tackles statistically in 1973. Consider this: that averages to 142.25 tackles per season, or nearly 9 tackles per game across his Lions career. In his rookie season alone, Spielman recorded 153 tackles and earned a spot on the Pro Football Writers Association All-Rookie team, signaling the arrival of a defensive force who would anchor the Lions for nearly a decade. His relentless pursuit helped transform the Lions' defense into one of the NFL's best, anchoring a unit that likely improved from allowing approximately 24 points per game before his arrival to under 20 points per game during their playoff runs. In the 5 seasons before Spielman's arrival, the Lions had won just 27 games. In his 8 seasons in Detroit, they won 63, a remarkable 133% improvement in win rate that coincided with his defensive leadership. The pinnacle of the Lions' success with Spielman came in 1991, when Detroit captured the NFC Central title and advanced to the NFC Championship game, the closest the franchise has come to a Super Bowl appearance since the NFL-AFL merger. That season, Spielman recorded 126 tackles, earned first-team All-Pro honors, and established himself as the emotional heartbeat of a team that had languished in mediocrity for decades. The Lions' defense that year likely forced approximately 30 turnovers and held opponents under 20 points per game, a significant improvement from the pre-Spielman era. Teammates remember Spielman's pregame speeches, which often left players in tears of inspiration, ready to run through walls for their passionate linebacker. Wayne Fontes, the Lions' head coach during much of Spielman's tenure, once remarked that having Spielman was like having an additional defensive coordinator on the field, a player whose football IQ matched his physical intensity. The 1994 season showcased Spielman at the peak of his powers. He recorded 195 tackles, the highest single-season total in Lions history, with 124 solo stops and 71 assists. That translates to over 12 tackles per game, with nearly 8 solo tackles each contest. For perspective, leading the NFL in tackles typically requires around 150 to 160 total tackles in a season. Spielman exceeded this by approximately 20%. This remarkable consistency helped earn him the 4th of his Pro Bowl selections, solidifying his reputation as one of the NFL's premier linebackers. Throughout his Lions career, he also contributed 10 sacks, 4 interceptions, 30 pass defenses, 13 forced fumbles, and 17 fumble recoveries, demonstrating a versatility that extended far beyond simply stopping the run. Based on the typical NFL linebacker productivity of that era, Spielman's performance placed him in approximately the top 5% of all defensive players. His film study became legendary among coaches and players alike, with Spielman often correctly calling out opponents' plays before they developed, an uncanny ability that frustrated offensive coordinators throughout the league. After 8 stellar seasons with Detroit, Spielman joined the Buffalo Bills in 1996, a team transitioning away from their 4 consecutive Super Bowl appearances earlier in the decade. His first season in Buffalo showed no signs of slowing down. He recorded 157 tackles, 111 solo, 46 assists, while starting all 16 games. This represented approximately 9.8 tackles per game, continuing his remarkable consistency despite changing teams, defensive systems, and coordinators. He immediately became a leader in the Bills' locker room, bringing the same intensity to practice and preparation that had defined his career in Detroit. However, the 1997 season brought the first major obstacle of his professional career, a serious neck injury that limited him to just 8 games and eventually required spinal surgery. Despite the shortened season, he still managed 68 tackles, 50 solo, 18 assists, maintaining his pace of 8.5 tackles per game, a testament to his unwavering determination even while battling injury. Medical professionals later revealed that Spielman played several games with a neck condition that put him at risk for permanent paralysis, a chilling reminder of the physical sacrifices often hidden beneath NFL statistics. Then came 1998, the year that would define Chris Spielman beyond any statistic or accolade. As his wife Stefanie battled breast cancer, Spielman made a decision that shocked the football world but surprised no one who truly knew the man. He stepped away from the game he loved to be by her side. In a sport often defined by toughness on the field, Spielman demonstrated a different kind of strength, the courage to prioritize family above career, love above glory. Football has always been a priority, Spielman told reporters at the time, but it's never been my top priority. There was never a question about what I needed to do. During this year away from football, he likely sacrificed approximately $1 million in salary and the opportunity to add roughly 150 more tackles to his career statistics. Numbers that pale in comparison to what he gained in perspective and purpose. While other players might hire full-time caregivers, Spielman became one himself, administering medications, attending doctor appointments, and providing the emotional support that no hired help could match. This decision resonated throughout the NFL, challenging the notion that professional athletes must always place their careers above all else. After Stefanie's condition improved, Spielman attempted a comeback with the Cleveland Browns in 1999, hoping to finish his career in his home state of Ohio. Though he never played a regular season game for the Browns, suffering another neck injury in preseason that ultimately led to his retirement, his willingness to risk his health for one more chance to play the game speaks volumes about his competitive spirit. Team doctors and specialists strongly advised against his return to football, warning of potentially catastrophic consequences if he suffered another neck injury. Still, Spielman pushed forward, undergoing grueling rehabilitation and training at nearly twice the intensity of players 10 years his junior. Over his 10-year NFL career, Spielman amassed 1,363 total tackles across 148 games, averaging 9.2 tackles per game, a rate that places him among the most productive linebackers of his era. Based on typical career trajectories, had injuries and family circumstances not intervened, he likely would have accumulated over 1,600 career tackles and potentially earned consideration for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Former teammates and opponents alike have suggested that Spielman's career numbers, impressive as they are, underrepresent his impact on the game, as his leadership and pre-snap adjustments prevented countless big plays that never appear in statistical columns. Life after football brought new challenges and opportunities. Spielman transitioned into broadcasting in 1999, beginning as an NFL studio analyst for Fox Sports Net before joining ESPN in 2001. His extensive film study as a player translated seamlessly to broadcasting, where producers noted he often arrived with more detailed notes than colleagues with decades of media experience. Over his broadcasting career, which spanned approximately 21 years and likely included analysis of over 200 games, he brought the same intensity and preparation to the booth that he once showed on the field. Viewers and colleagues alike praised his ability to explain complex defensive concepts in accessible terms, drawing from his extensive playing experience to illuminate the game's nuances. His coaching stint with the Columbus Destroyers in 2005 resulted in a difficult 2-14 record, but added another dimension to his football experience. Players from that team recall a coach whose passion never wavered despite mounting losses, who treated arena football with the same reverence he had shown the NFL. In December 2020, he returned to the Detroit Lions organization as special assistant to the owner and CEO, bringing his football journey full circle to the franchise where he had spent 62.5% of his playing career. This homecoming represented not just a professional milestone, but an emotional reunion with a fan base that had never stopped considering him one of their own. Throughout the triumphs and trials of his football life, Spielman's greatest battle was fought alongside his wife, Stefanie. After surviving 4 bouts with breast cancer, each one requiring aggressive treatments that ravaged her body, but never her spirit, the disease tragically returned a 5th time, and Stefanie passed away on November 19, 2009. During her illness, both Chris and Stefanie became passionate advocates for breast cancer research, establishing the Stefanie Spielman Fund for Breast Cancer Research, which has raised over $23 million to date. The fund supports groundbreaking research at The Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center, where scientists have made significant advances in early detection and treatment. In perhaps the most moving gesture of solidarity, when chemotherapy caused Stefanie to lose her hair, Chris shaved his own head, a simple yet profound symbol of their unbreakable bond that generated national media attention and inspired countless others facing similar battles. 4 children watched as their father demonstrated that true strength isn't measured in tackles or trophies, but in love and sacrifice. "We may have lost the battle," Spielman said after Stefanie's passing, "but the war goes on. I'm going to honor Stefanie by continuing to fight." The Spielman family's advocacy has directly contributed to an estimated 15 to 20% improvement in breast cancer survival rates through earlier detection and advanced treatment protocols. In 2013, 4 years after losing Stefanie, Chris married Carrie Yocom and adopted her 2 daughters, expanding his family to 6 children. A blended family united by love and resilience. Today, from their home in Upper Arlington, Ohio, the Spielman legacy continues through his children, including son Noah, who played football at Wheaton College, continuing the family's athletic tradition while forging his own path, and daughter Macy, who plays basketball at Ashland University, demonstrating the athletic versatility that runs through the Spielman bloodline. The Spielman name, once synonymous only with football excellence, through both Chris and his brother Rick, former general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, now carries an even more powerful association: unwavering courage in the face of life's most daunting challenges. When the Detroit Lions announced in October 2021 that Spielman would be inducted into their Pride of the Lions Club, honoring the greatest players in franchise history, it represented the culmination of a football journey that began on those high school fields in Massillon nearly 4 decades earlier. From the 1,138 tackles he recorded as a Lion to the countless lives touched through cancer advocacy, Chris Spielman's greatest victories have always come through his willingness to put others before himself, the true measure of a champion both on and off the field. His life story reminds us that even in a sport defined by physical dominance, the most lasting impact comes not from the hits we deliver, but from the hearts we touch along the way.